Welcome to an exclusive P&B debate. Melbourne is recognized as a great place to live, work, visit, and do business. And in 2012, it was again ranked by the Economist Intelligence Unit as the world's most livable city. Melbourne provides opportunity and capacity for most residents to build a good life. Victoria's population will grow more than 3 million people in the next 40 years, and the majority will live in Melbourne.
According to the Planning Minister Matthew Guy, population is still growing quite strongly compared to the historical levels. Currently, there are around 1.6 million homes in Melbourne. In 2004 to 2008, around 70% of homes built in the established areas are detached homes, villas, and townhouses. The remaining 30% are apartment or units. In the next 30 to 40 years, Melbourne may require another 1 million more homes in a range of style and location.
Hi, my name is Boon. I am the economist.
Hi, my name is Paxton and I am the developer.
Today, we will discuss about how the rise of population and the change in economy is affecting the residential market in Melbourne.
In 2012, the city now faces new challenges to remain a great place to live, work, visit, and do businesses. In order to meet these challenges, the Victorian government is spreading a new metropolitan planning strategy for Melbourne. This strategy will set a vision for Melbourne to the year 2030. Growth in Melbourne and Victoria has fluctuated over time, depending on international and local events. By 2030, Melbourne's population is likely to reach between 5.6 to 6.4 million. Population growth in Melbourne is caused by the natural increase and also by the influx of migration. Depending on the cause of the rise of population will determine the long-term or short-term framework for the future planning. With a growing population, it will come to the need where there's a need to boost employment, build new houses, build new facilities, shops and schools. The demand for new housing will grow faster than the increase in population. If current trends persist for the next 20 years, the market will need to deliver at least an additional of 555,000 housing in the metropolitan Melbourne. Melbourne's Central Business District could have an addition of 220 new residents within the next 3 decades, according to the new Victorian government planning. For example, the Fisherman's Bend. The residential expansion would be at least 10 times the number of residents that are staying there now. As a private developer, it is a good sign that Melbourne is increasing in population, and there's an increased affluence of its residents, coupled with that fact that many of them will want to live in the same suburb close to where all action is, will ensure the value of house being the value of well-located properties will keep increasing over the long term. But the challenges lies in what type of density property should be built around the CBD to ensure the development of the residential properties that are in demand. Next, I would pass it on to the economist Boon to tell you about the economic factors.
Thank you, Paxton. Home comprising of family with children is expected to continue and grow. Generation X are choosing to have a third child more than their parents, and their parents are living longer than their grandparents. At the same time, the type of home people are preferring are also changing. There is also a need to prepare new homes at a range of prices. Housing has been increasingly expensive in Melbourne since 2000. The median house price has almost tripled from 190,000 to 500,000. The median weekly rent for a 2-bedroom apartment has also more than doubled, from 190 a week to 450 per week. The RBA Semi-Annual Financial Stability Review shows Melbourne as one of the weakest markets in this country, citing a potential oversupply in the inner city apartment market and new homes market on the city fringe. Although housing loans arrear rates are currently low across most parts of Victoria, the outlook of the Melbourne property market appears to be softer than for other large cities, and some banks have signaled that they will be alert to any signs of deterioration in asset performance. The current stock of land for sale is at high level, and building approvals data point to increase in the stock of housing and potential oversupply in some parts of Melbourne, particularly the inner city apartment market. This is on top of previous strong supply of detached housing in the outer suburbs. The increase in stock of housing is consistent with Melbourne dwelling prices declining further and recovering less of their earlier decline than prices in most other capital cities have done. In the next 2 years, a construction of about 25,500 apartments around the city is due to be completed. This places an increasing pressure on transport, infrastructure and services. This does not include many of the 20 high-rise projects approved by Planning Minister Matthew Guy in the past 28 months, or plans for 17 towers in the new inner city suburb of Melbourne. The housing industry has been in a decline in the past years. Recently, the state government created a budget boost for the first home buyers with an aim to stimulate the housing and construction sector. However, the government scrapped the 7,000 first home owner grant for people who want to buy established property. The first home owner grant will increase from 7,000 to 10,000 for new homes and apartment, plus the 40% stamp duty concession from the 1st of July onwards. Moreover, the cut in baby bonus will decrease the population as people are finding it hard to cope with the high standard cost of living. Therefore, there will be an oversupply in apartments in the Central Business District, as most purchasers are investors rather than homeowners. Thank you.